Dear colleagues, place names and geography are intimately linked. Place names can only be understood in relation to geography, and a map without place names would be meaningless. This observation can easily be made by our two subsidiary bodies of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, the Group of Experts on Geographical Names, which I chair, and the Committee of Experts on Global Geospatial Information Management. But it's a principle for NGOGEN that international standardization of geographical names must be carried out on the basis of national standardization. And we then considered that the link between the authorities in charge of geography and toponymy should be national. This is why our two bodies have launched this project to identify and disseminate good national practices in this area. It is up to each of you, the national experts, to make this inventory. It will be facilitated by the questionnaire drawn up by the team of Indonesian and American experts, whom I would like to thank for their work. Thank you too for your participation. I know that with such a wide variety of organizations, you are all keen to produce the best possible work. Everyone should be able to take advantage of this to improve their own. That's the spirit of international cooperation, and thank you for playing your part.
Greetings. My name is Michael Tischler, the Director of the National Geospatial Program at the U.S. Geological Survey and Chair of the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. I'd like to thank you for your assistance in identifying best practices between national mapping agencies and national naming authorities. The collaborative project and joint working group was established in June 2024 with the support of UNGGIM and UNGEGAN to identify shared practices that strengthen working relations between national mapping agencies and national naming authorities. Co-chaired by BIG in Indonesia and the U.S. Geological Survey in the USA, the joint working group has developed a questionnaire to which all UNGGIM and UNGEGAN member countries are invited to respond. A draft of the questionnaire was shared through the UNGGIM and UNGEGAN regional leadership last December with the request to provide feedback to the joint working group as we finalized the structure and text of the questions. The early feedback we received was helpful and instrumental in finalizing the questionnaire that was recently released. In developing the questionnaire, the joint working group recognizes the wide variety of ways in which countries approach their mapping and naming functions. Each country has their own unique organizations, laws, policies, requirements, and available resources, along with institutional arrangements. We aimed for flexibility in the questions so that each country could provide responses that describe their operations and to provide feedback on successful practices, all while aligning with the 9 strategic pathways of the Integrated Geospatial Information Framework. The strategies of the IGIF lead to an approach that considers national circumstances, priorities, and perspectives as a means for governments to establish more effective geospatial information management arrangement, and therefore represents an ideal organizing principle for the goals of this collaborative effort. As a result, a considerable number of questions were created to solicit best practices of member countries according to the strategic pathways of governance and institutions, policy and legal, financial, data, innovation, standards, partnerships, capacity and education, and community and engagement. Using the IGIF as an organizing structure for the questions will allow us to investigate how mapping agencies and naming authorities jointly approach the pathways. The survey is open until April 30th, and the joint working group looks forward to reviewing and analyzing the results that all of you provide. Following the conclusion of the submission period, we will look for commonalities among countries in their operations, as well as policies, actions, or arrangements that are identified as being successful. We will compile our results into a report available to both UNGGIM and UNGEGAN that may be used to continue and improve collaboration between mapping agencies and naming authorities. Thank you again for your time, energy, and expertise in responding to the questionnaire. I'll now turn it over to my colleagues at BIG to explain more about the questions.
Hello everyone, this is Tika from the Geospatial Information Agency of Indonesia. We have composed the questionnaire to accommodate several possible institutional arrangements of respondent naming and mapping activities to ensure relevance across countries. And to help you fill out the questionnaire, I will give you a brief explanation of each section. To begin with, the Respondent Details and Institutional Arrangement section collects respondent information and details about institutional arrangements. Based on your responses, it will guide you to the relevant sections. Moreover, the Governance and Institution section explores the relationship between naming and mapping activities in your country. In addition, the Policy and Legal section covers regulations governing mapping and naming activities, including legal frameworks that support collaboration with indigenous groups. Furthermore, the Financial section examines how naming and mapping activities are funded in your country. The Data section focuses on integrating naming data into mapping products and the relationship with private mapping platforms. Additionally, the Innovation section explores innovative technologies or methodologies that enhance collaboration between mapping and naming activities. The Standards section addresses the guidelines that shape collaboration between naming and mapping activities, challenges arising from the lack of standards, and measures to ensure compliance. Moreover, the Partnership section assesses stakeholders' engagement and involvement in supporting naming and mapping activities. Next, the Capacity and Education section examines joint capacity building or education programs between naming and mapping activities. Finally, the Communication and Engagement section evaluates how naming and mapping activities interact with the public and gather feedback, highlighting best practices and the effectiveness of public engagement efforts. Thank you, and over to you, Pak Ade.
Finally, I would like to thank all the member countries for your invaluable participation and contributions to this initiative. As we continue our journey together, let us keep at the forefront of our efforts to reach the goal of identifying best practices and learning from each other's successes. Once again, we encourage all member countries to contribute their experiences and perspectives by filling out the questionnaire no later than April 30th, 2025. Your responses to the questionnaire will be instrumental in highlighting effective approaches that can benefit all of us. Last but not least, together let us pave the way for better governance, innovative practices, and stronger partnerships that will benefit us in fostering naming and mapping activities worldwide. I am Ade Komara Mulyana, the Director of Land Topographic Mapping at the Indonesian Geospatial Information Agency, acting as co-leader of this collaborative project. Thank you, and looking forward to receiving your responses. Have a nice day.